body stuff feels big and weight. Your light seems so innocent. Everything makes sense to you. They didn't do me. It was from my foot to the earth. Build up in your voice. Way of life, way of life. I hope you say we were on the same street. Way of life, way of my life. It takes street more funny talent dispersed in the air. The body stuff feels big and weight. Your light seems so innocent. Everything makes sense to you. They didn't do me. It was from my foot to the earth. Build up in your voice. Way of life, way of life. I heard you say we were on the same street. Way of life, way of my life.
Chat. Oh, I forgot to put out my links. Ah, I forgot to even share the links, chat. Okay. We're starting 2025 off wrong. I forgot to even tell people that I was going live. So let's go ahead and do that first. I'm just going to yap while I do that. But welcome to the new year, guys. We are here in 2025. We've made it another year, despite the planet and the people who control this planet, unfortunately, actively trying to kill us year on year. We have somehow, uh, like a very resilient creature, like a cockroach. And I mean that in the best way possible because cockroaches they survive anything. They survive nuclear warfare. Dude, here we are. Like they couldn't take us out if they wanted to. Subtext, thank you so much for the tier one, a new year with the Giga Chat of gaming. Am I the Giga Chat of gaming? Thank you so much, bro. Appreciate you and love you, Subtext. Um, but yeah, so we're gonna do some talk about big predictions for 2025. If I can find my God, I can't believe this slipped my mind. This shows you, this is emphatic proof that it has been a minute since I have last streamed because there's no way I would ever just forget to post all the links on all my platforms. Just in general, just forget, straight up forget. That's insane. I just hit the button and I was like, I did a couple of things and I was like, okay, let's go ahead and people have to know on the socials. They do. It's this complicated mess of streaming. Now, YouTube chat's always going to be okay. You guys are always going to get the stream because you guys can see it on YouTube because people go to YouTube, right? But if you're talking about joining on Twitch, unfortunately, the only way people are ever going to see a Twitch link is basically if they are already on Twitch. Like, you know what I'm saying? Or they're subscribed to you and they get the notifications on their phone. But I think most people, I mean, I would rather watch on a PC personally. Like, that's kind of how I watch most of my streams. But I know that most people nowadays watch from like a phone. Um, I try to minimize the amount of stuff I do from a phone. I know that sounds crazy. That's not very like 2025 youngster of me. Granted, I am an old man now, so I'm a old I'm a old ass man, chat. Um but yeah, I do actually keep most stuff like being done on a desktop. I do. It's just more comfortable. I feel safe, in control to a degree, right? Because also you can get more phone viruses. I mean, you can get more like viruses or like malware or other stuff can happen to you hacked from a PC, whereas it is a little bit safer. Um, oh my God, I'm so fucking stupid. I posted it like it's a video. I didn't tell people that we are live. Oh my God, chat. I've fucking fallen off. Like, it's not even a joke how much I've fallen off. Like, I've completely lost it. It's gone, bro. It's like, it's so gone. I'm cooked. I'm so cooked. Okay, this is the last link that I think I need to put out. Wait, I lied. I need to tell the people of Ultima, the people of our people that yeah, there's a stream. Sorry I'm doing this now because I fucked up and I'm an idiot. That's why. But I'm going to de-idiot myself really fast. And have you forgotten to do some streaming after some time off? Yeah, I mean, but also too, I feel like it's just been a minute since I've streamed. Most of December was just me doing Squall UA, thank you for the tier one. Did I miss any other subs? Again, Squall UA, thank you for tier one. Thank you for being with us for 40 months, Squall UA. Sorry I was distracted. I'm just now looking at Twitch chat. Um I'm almost 40. I'm old. No. 30 is the new 40. Honestly, if anything, 30 is like the new 20. Like realistically speaking. Um because everything in society basically has been shifting over by a decade due to inflation almost not even as a joke, but like kind of like literally, right? Like most of my friends and people I know, like everyone's getting married now at like 30, right? 30 plus. Like early to like mid 30s, right? Like, and if we were alive in generations prior, dude, it would have been like everyone getting married and doing all this other stuff at like 20, right? Like 24, 25, like late 20s would be like kind of pushing it, right? And like early 30s would be like, oh my God, so desperate. But like that's not the case anymore. Like at least in like anecdotally in my friend circle, I see more and more people marrying now in their 30s, having kids in their 30s rather than starting their families in like their 20s. Every generation of my family had kids by 20. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Like most people don't do that anymore. Most people don't do that anymore. It's and I feel like a lot of people that do, like not necessarily everyone, but a lot of people that do seem to like regret it a little bit. Not everybody, of course. But it does seem to be that like a lot of people are like, yeah, get married at like 30, have kids by like 35. And it's funny too, because um, my parents, I think my mom was like 22 when they got married. And then like, but she didn't even actually have me until she was like 35, which is kind of weird. But like, and even then, that was kind of like a little abnormal. But it showed you like where things were like kind of shifting. Um, in terms of like, basically people live life later now, and part of that's just due to the fact that we have better, like better medical science too. But also, weirdly enough, they say that the internet has made people younger for longer. Isn't that interesting? And there's reasons behind that too, like very sound logical reasons. For example, we we take care of ourselves more, right? Um, we don't indulge in as many bad things per se anymore. We still do a lot, but like for example, I wear sunscreen every day on my face because we know that like 90% of photo aging is due to UV rays, right? But it's like, do you think my dad was wearing sunscreen every day? Fuck no. Think my parents gave a fuck about that? No. But now we know to do stuff like that because it's like common sense, right? It's like one of the ways that you can take care of yourself. But also, too, the internet kind of keeps people in the conversation of youth longer. I don't know if that makes sense, but like it keeps you in the um connected to people, right? Like I think that like in prior generations, like as people would grow up, they would lose the kind of social connections they'd have in their teens and early 20s, right? Like you wouldn't just be actively going out meeting people in quite the same way, but now we kind of have that automated through the internet. And then another aspect of it too, with you want to talk about like marriage and kids and stuff like that. We have a lot of choice now. Whereas it used to be, like, you grow up, you would marry the girl next door, maybe not literally, but you'd marry a girl in your town because that was like, I don't know, the cute girl in your town. And that was kind of, I'm drastically oversimplifying this uh for the sake of argument, but like you understand what I mean. And nowadays, you go on an app and you swipe people, and it seems like there's so many options, and like, so people get caught up in like the paradox of choice, and they think they can always trade up and get someone better, et cetera, et cetera. And so another reason too is that people kind of continue to seek out options romantically for longer periods of times than they probably historically did. So all of which is to say, we are younger for longer now, like both mentally and physically. It's a good thing. It's a net win for society. Um, I'm 39, still get carded. People think I'm mid 20s. I'll take it, dude. That's awesome. Is it really though? Is it really? Yes, it's good, bro. Yes, it's good. Would you want to be older faster? I think it's a win. I think it's great. I think and I don't want to get like too far off from like too deep into like, um us just like having like a discussion about where the future of medical health is going. But I think that like eventually we're going to start living probably to 120 to 140 just as like medical science continues to get better. We continue to take better care of ourselves. Um, it's honestly not impossible that us, or at least Gen Alpha, will be like one of the first generations to like, have people like normally living to like 120 or 140. Um, Especially as like, we can do things like organ replacement, right? Like just like the very moment that we can like make it like an artificial heart and like plug that into people or like replace things like kidneys and livers with like literal cyberpunk parts. We're talking about adding like a few decades onto human life like instantly. Just doing that alone, right? Um so yeah, I think that like what we think of as 20s eventually will probably last for like it will probably last into someone's like 40s or 50s, right? Like, you know, and things will get pushed back even further. Um, and people probably will like marry like when they're 40 at that point or 50 even, have like their first marriage. Because we might just extend human life literally to the point of where that becomes like a feasible thing to do. Um, which I would like to think it's good. I don't think I necessarily want to live forever, Like I don't want to live to be like 5,000 or anything crazy. But I think most people if they could live to be 120 but look no older than 30 for 20 years or 30 years, then they'd probably like have a really good time. At least I think. Would love replacement organs, even if it means being held by lots of tape and exoskeleton to support my body. I mean, yeah. I mean, I think replacement organs has been like kind of one of the things that's like a hallmark of like where medical science should be headed, right? Like it's kind of the end goal, essentially. Well, I guess the ultimate end goal of medical science would be like to hypothetically cure death, right? Like, I don't know if we'll ever get there necessarily. I mean, speaking with like, the limited relative to whatever we come up with in the future. Um, but I do know that we may so drastically one day slow down aging to the point of where, again, people do live to be 200 or something extreme, insane like that. The real bottleneck is the brain, honestly, because there's only so much of the brain you can replace. You know what I'm saying? Like that wouldn't be a good thing. I think it's relative. I don't think it's necessarily a bad thing. It just depends. It depends on what we do with life. Like if we're just wage slaves for 200 years, then yeah, like you know, it's gonna be cheeks. It's gonna suck. Um, it's one of those things where like you talk about like AI and like AI could like theoretically replace every job, but then it's like, but yeah, it's like, are they gonna use AI to theoretically do that and then supply people with something like a universal basic income so that they can live, or are they going to use AI, replace everyone's job, and then just have like an insane disparity between rich and poor? So, and then we all become slaves in some other way. Like all we do all day long is consume, and we're just like literally like that's it. So it's like one of those things um, that I can't really tell you if it's going to be good or bad. Like I would want to say bad because the people in charge of this world don't really seem to give much of a fuck about us. But um, it could be a good thing. AI replacing everyone's job is really far out, though. Yeah, it is. It is. Make no mistake. AI is going to replace some jobs in the near future, but it's not going to replace nearly as many, I think, as people currently imagine because there's a lot of bottlenecks currently with AI that people don't fully realize. And it's not quite as intelligent as some people imagine. It's like it's as someone once said, it's like the smartest dumb kid. That's like the best way to describe AI. So, I mean, eternal life would be complicated in a lot of ways, including overpopulation and how we'll manage resources. To be clear, I'm not necessarily talking about eternal life because I think that's like that's a different discussion. I'm just talking about living to like 150 or something. Because I do think that yeah, like when you get into like eternal life, you get into like a lot of complicated situations. And like I said, I don't think that necessarily like most people's end goal is not, or dream would not necessarily be to live forever. It would just be to like have like live to like 200 and then like 180 of those years be like awesome. You know what I'm saying? I think that's like what most people would like reasonably want, right? Like if you live to like 200 and you look 20 most of the time and you look and feel 20 most of that time, you live you'd be like life is like long and feels good, right? Like it's awesome. Like there's a balance there. It'd be great. Retire at 60, die at 180. Right. Like and as long as you're in like good health per se, you'd love it. I would love it personally. But again, it's like if we do live to like 200, do we just become wage slaves for longer? And the whole point of living to 200 is just so that they can sell you more product for longer periods of time. And then, so that you can, I mean, first of all, it's not like everyone's going to probably be able to live to 200 for free anyway, right? You're going to have some type of access to the medical care, the upgrades, stuff like that, at least in the US. I'm sure everyone else you'll get it for free, but in the US you're gonna have to work for it, and yeah, it'll be tough. For all we know, we could be approaching a real life Cyberpunk 2077, dude. Like one of the things about like Cyberpunk is so funny because whenever you hear about it, you're like, what do you mean a rogue AI ruined the internet? That sounds so dumb. Like that's what I thought of. Like when I first came across like this stuff in like Cyberpunk 2077, I was like, a rogue AI ruined the internet? That makes no sense. And then like a year later, I was like, fuck. I was like, damn, bro, I get it. I get it now. I get it. Oh God, it makes so much sense. A rogue AI could ruin the internet now. I get it, bro. Like it makes so much sense. I was watching a stream the other day and they brought up a good point that people are doing newspeak from like 1984 on TikTok. Instead of killed, they say unalive. Oh my God, that's so fucking true. Damn, that's so true. Well, part of that though too is that a lot of stuff on TikTok is kind of like, like CCP rules, and so they have to like come up with like a bunch of stuff because they like yeah, TikTok as a company is like you can't talk about like all this stuff. So I hate that aspect of TikTok. I think it's stupid. Um yeah, I mean I get it. Can't say the real words or you get banned. I hate that. I hate that. I mean, it's really difficult to even discuss like even the concept of like free speech because it's one of those things where it's like a lot of stuff that you put on social media can cause harm like instantly, right? And you can say stuff like right now about certain topics and like it actively hurt people. at the same time, it's like, where do you draw that barrier between that and like um limiting what people say and think, right? And like what they put out there. And really there's like no good answer to it, right? Because you have like you have stuff like Facebook or TikTok, and those platforms are like, you can't say anything on those platforms. Anything you say on TikTok or like meta platforms like Facebook, Instagram, it's like it's over like no matter what, right? And then the other extreme is Twitter, um, where you can say the most vile things that things that I have not seen on the internet since like 2007 4chan. Like vile stuff. Like stuff that I like would agree that no human being should be like walking around saying like you are like an active like threat to people. Um and so like those are the two extremes. And I think most normal people realize how bad both of those platforms are with like with moderating stuff. So I really don't know what the future of like internet content moderation looks like. Because again, we have two extremes right now. One is you literally can say fucking anything, no matter how disturbing it is. And then the other one is that if you even joke like in context with your friend, they like literally will ban you for like for days, which is like so ridiculous, right? So I don't know. I'm really hoping Blue Sky stays true to reasonable moderation. I am too. It's so hard to say with Blue Sky right now because the thing about Blue Sky is that right now Blue Sky has it easy, right? Because they don't have like they only have 26 million users roughly. So they don't have nearly the amount of content that's going into it that Facebook and Twitter and all those other things do. So right now, Blue Sky's moderation is really laissez-faire. They have had some people trying to post stuff on there uh, that is not very good, but that's because they currently lack the moderation to um, really handle it because they're a small platform, right? I don't even think 100 people work for them. I think it's like literally um, yeah. Literally, if this is more clickbait, I'm unsubbing after years here. What the fuck are you talking about? We're gonna talk about the thing, I promise. This, I mean, uh, what's the clickbait? We're gonna talk about my 2025 gaming predictions. We're just having some bro talk first. I promise you. Listen, if I if the platform didn't demand me to clickbait, I wouldn't do it. It'd be easier to just not clickbait ever. Be way easier. Um, I like having these discussions with you guys because you guys are very reasonable, by the way. I want to shout out because we did have some deeper conversation here. And thank you guys for not making it fucking weird. Because it's really hard to just have a good conversation without people like, you know, trying to push certain things on you. I just want to talk about this stuff. And we can agree or disagree and all that other stuff, but like, can we just not be weird? Anyway, thank you guys for not being weird about that. But yeah, to the point of gaming. Uh, so 2024 was a good year, at least in my opinion. I also thought that 2023 was a really good year as well. So I think that we've had two incredibly, really solid years of gaming. You appreciate the honesty. I appreciate that too. I appreciate that you appreciate it. I hope we're good. Um, I would say 2022 was also a good year for gaming, but I'm gonna be real with you guys. I don't remember what the fuck happened in 2022. I got 2 years worth of memory. And in 2 years from now, I'm not gonna remember the stream either. I've run out of storage. My brain is like a 64 gigabyte iPhone. You're gonna be deleting shit all the time, brother, because there's just not much storage in there. Elden Ring was 2022. That's right. God of War Ragnarok. That's right. That's right. We 2020. Okay, 2022 was also a really good year, actually. I'm capping. Wait, what? But what else happened other than Ragnarok and Elden Ring? I thought those were 2023. No, no, no. 2023 was Baldur's Gate 3 and Tears of the Kingdom. What the fuck else happened in 2022? I feel like there were some other like really important games that year. In either case, now we're here on 2025. Wasn't Endwalker 2022? That was 20. Yes. Well, no, it came at December 2021. Stefan V, thank you so much for the tier 1. I appreciate it. Thank you for being with us for 2 months. So actually, let's see if we can hold on. I'm gonna pull up a doc for this. We're gonna make this formal. Let me see if I can damn, did I delete that extension? Did I delete that extension? Or did I just deactivate it? I guess I deleted it. Okay. I wanted a Google Docs night mode extension. I guess I'll just like re-download it real quick. So you guys didn't have to stare at like whiteness like this whole time. And like blind you. Okay. Well that doesn't really fix it, but we'll just roll with this. We'll just yeah. This is good. This is good. And then we'll increase the font size. We'll be like I'll do this. Likely. Yeah. Damn near confirmed. Likely. Maybe. Bro is capping. Okay. This is going to be our list. Okay. There we go. Let's do it. All right. So we're going to do oh, that's right. YouTube might not like me having that word displayed. Because YouTube is a big meanie. We'll just be like, definitely, yeah. Okay. So these are our categories here. We have definitely, almost guaranteed 100% happening, likely, maybe, and bro is capping. So we're going to go through our 2025 gaming predictions, and we're going to start out with what I think is most likely, and no. Actually, let's start with the definitelys. So for our 2025 gaming predictions, let's start with what's going to definitely happen, like no question. I mean, I don't think anyone here is really going to dispute this one. This one is definitely happening. It's basically been hard confirmed by Nintendo. We are going to be getting a Switch 2 reveal, right? I'm going to say I believe the rumors, and I think I'm going to say let's put it under likely. We'll put it under likely. We're going to say Switch 2 as powerful as a PS4 Pro. That is my current assessment of what is going to happen. I do believe that Switch 2 is going to be powerful. I don't think it's going to be necessarily on par with PS5 or Series X. I think that's a given. But I think it being as powerful as a PS4 Pro is going to allow it to play a lot of PS5 games that are downgraded. Because honestly, PS4 already plays a lot of downgraded PS5 games, right? You can play God of War Ragnarok, you can play Horizon, you can play all these games that are supposedly made for PS5, and then in the middle of development, they downgraded them for PS4, right? So it's not like those games can't be played on a PS4. And if Switch 2 is at least that powerful and it has things like DLSS, I am going to bet that Switch 2 is about as powerful as a PS4. Someone said Stellar Blade for PC. I completely agree. I think Stellar Blade is absolutely coming to PC. They've already confirmed, actually, that it's coming to PC. So we are going to get Stellar Blade on PC. What I think would be funny is if we got Stellar Blade on Switch 2. I think that would be I think that would be insane. I don't think we're going to get Stellar Blade on Switch 2. I do think that we're going to get Stellar Blade on PC. It's already been confirmed, and I think it's coming. It hasn't been officially announced yet. It hasn't been something that they've, like a Steam page or anything like that, but they have confirmed in like their investor reports and stuff that they want to bring the game to PC. And typically these games come a year later after the Sony check clears and the contract expires. So Stellar Blade for PC sounds pretty solid. The Dow Dim, hello. Thank you for always leaving a wonderful comment on my videos. Have you heard they confirmed Nier news for 2025? Okay, so that's actually wonderful. I've heard that before, and I'm also going to put it, I think that we are long overdue for a new Nier game. And I think that Square Enix's current lineup for 2025 has not really been filled out very much. So I do think that we can go ahead and say for likely Nier 3 or some Nier update. Actually, I don't want to put that under likely. That's a hard maybe. Maybe. Let's change this title. Let's be like maybe / long shot, right? Because some of this stuff, like to distinguish it a little bit more from likely, right? Yeah, let's also clarify Nier 3 announcement. I don't think Nier 3 is dropping next year, but I do think that we're going to get some type of announcement, right? In terms of the next thing, chat, you can go ahead and tell me about like anything you think. In terms of definitely, again, Dragon Quest 1 and 2, which is already confirmed. Everyone's been really loving Dragon Quest 3 Remake. 1 and 2 are already confirmed, and we're going to see more of that. Again, definitely is going to be Kingdom Hearts Missing Link. That is also coming this year. At the very least, we're going to get like we're going to get a more solid date soon, I think. But Kingdom Hearts Missing Link was supposed to come out last year. And then they kept pushing it back, and then I think in December they were like, yeah, the game's not coming out actually after all. So that's been really unfortunate. I'm gonna say Kingdom Hearts 4 update. Yeah, I feel confident in that one. Kingdom Hearts 4 update. Well, you know what? No. You know what? Okay. I feel confident in this one. Kingdom Hearts 4 update. I think this is going to happen. We're going to get a Kingdom Hearts 4 update. I don't think that it's releasing this year. I know that a lot of people are probably upset that I don't think that it's releasing this year. But I feel pretty heavily that we are going to see Kingdom Hearts 4. We've been long overdue, but not only are we overdue for Kingdom Hearts 4, I think we're overdue for Kingdom Hearts in general, right? There hasn't been a massive Kingdom Hearts update in a while. And one of the best ways you can promote Missing Link is to also show off some footage for Kingdom Hearts 4. That's going to motivate people to download Missing Link. And people downloading Missing Link will also transfer over to KH4 hype, right? So you want to market those two titles synergistically in such a way that they're feeding into each other. That's why they make these gotchas in the first place. So I think it's a safe bet to say that Kingdom Hearts 4 is going to be tangible this year. At the very least, I am going to say that we're going to get a Kingdom Hearts 4 trailer 2. I don't know if we're going to get anything else. I don't know if it's going to happen on December 30th, December 31st, 2025, but I do think that it is going to happen. Here's a definitely prediction for you. Most publishers will avoid confirming release dates until they know the GTA 6 release date. Okay, let's put that. That's so true. So true, subtext. At least one AAA title will be delayed as a result of GTA 6. And you know what game that's going to be? It's going to be Horizon 3. It's going to be Horizon. Not really. But damn it, sometimes it feels like that, man. It feels like they always pick the biggest games in order to put like a simultaneous release date with. I don't think it's going to be Horizon 3. But I do think that some game is going to inadvertently have a release date at the same time as GTA 6, and it is going to be pushed out of the way. 100%. It's not going to be at the same time. All right. I got to add this one under bro is capping. Now, let me say this real fast. I actually think realistically, this one belongs in the likely or maybe long shot. But the mythical existence of this game, for this game to even be tangible, is such a far-fetched idea. Even though I feel in my core that it is coming. Labib Zahid, thank you so much for the super chat. I appreciate you a ton. I know deep within my energies, in my jellies, in my soul, Persona 6 will be announced. It's happening this year. I feel it. Now, listen, This is mostly vibes based. I know it is mostly vibes based, but the vibes are there for a reason. And released, bro? I don't know about released. I don't know about released. We're not going to bet on release. That's a losing bet. But I am going to say Persona 6 will be announced. Okay? I have a couple of reasons. Most of those reasons are vibes, but I do have a couple of reasons. The first reason, it's been 8 years since Persona 5. That's a pretty big reason. The second reason is that we got all these like announcements in the past year, right? Like we got all these games. A ton of stuff dropped from Atlas. Persona 3 Reload dropped. Metaphor ReFantazio dropped. SMT5 dropped. So what does Atlas have for these coming years, right? Like there's nothing big announced, I think, coming from them. So logically, it only follows that everything has been cleared out for the sake of Persona 6. I don't follow Atlas closely, but are the Persona and Metaphor teams different? Yes, and also no. The Persona team that made 3 through 5 created a new studio called Studio Zero. And most of the core staff moved over to Studio Zero. However, the team that made P5R, Persona 5 Royal, a lot of those people in particular, are the new P Studio. So you have P Studio, which is a brand new team, that is mostly a brand new team-ish, working on Persona 6, and you have the veteran Persona team who made Metaphor ReFantazio. Let's keep going, chat. All right, I'm going to hit you guys with another one. Final Fantasy Tactics Remastered. Final Fantasy Tactics Remastered is coming. We've known about it since the NVIDIA leak. It's just been a mystery of where it is. We have no idea where this title is whatsoever. We know that Creative Business Unit 3 is probably developing it, but we haven't seen it. It hasn't been announced yet. But we're hoping that this year is finally going to be the year. Final Fantasy IX Remake, I feel like it's just not... I don't know what's going on, man. I'm actually beginning to worry a little bit about that title because it was supposed to be announced, like, I assume, a lot earlier than this because it'd been in the NVIDIA database for so long, and pretty much all those titles have been announced. But not Final Fantasy IX Remake, and not Final Fantasy Tactics Remastered. Now, Final Fantasy Tactics Remastered, I mean, that should be an easier one to come by, right? Like, you don't have to make a whole new game. But I don't know what's going on with Final Fantasy IX Remake. So much so that I'm just going to file it under Bro is Capping and say Final Fantasy IX Remake will be announced. Because at this point, I'm like, I don't know what's going on. It's leaked multiple times. Multiple journalists have seen it, and it still has not been announced yet. So I'm just like, what is going on with that title, right? Is the FF9 anime okay? I have to look into this, but I feel like someone told me that the studio behind the FF9 anime was shutting down. I don't know if that's true. Let's look that up real quick before I put that out there as like fact. I thought someone told me that. Oh, wow. What the fuck? That's insane. Their sites have been hacked. That's fucking crazy, dog. Their site has been hacked. I literally clicked on it. Now I'm worried about myself. That's crazy for clicking on it. Oh my god. I should like run malware bites. Don't click on their site. It's been hacked. Their name is Cyber Group Studios. Don't click on it. Because they have like a thing for Final Fantasy IX Remake. I clicked on it and like a rhymes with corn ad started playing. And I was like, yo, not while I'm on stream. I'm just glad it didn't have audio. Yo, okay. That like, dog, oh shit, you're right. Yeah, like it's like a girl in like a maid outfit, right? Bro, I almost put it on this on camera. Ah, my whole channel would have been gone. I went on that page, didn't get. Okay, so Black Lion Guard got it. Skylian didn't get it. Okay, that's weird. Did you click the Final Fantasy IX link that they have there? It just links to a regular article? No, it doesn't. Not when I clicked it. What site? Chat. It's been hacked. Don't go there. Why are y'all like, what site? It's the Cyber Group Studios like site. I click on the FF9 link and it was like, that was not. And what's funny, or I guess not funny, is that that's like a. They're mostly responsible for like kids animation. So that's pretty bad. Um, they're being acquired by 4 studios from what it says. Okay, so they're not being shut down. It was that. Click at your own risk. Okay. Yeah, someone put the link in chat. But I don't recommend clicking it because that link has been that's not a good link to click. Their server has been. Are the ads based? No, bro, it's not ads. And first of all, ads don't sell based on like, well, they don't sell those type of ads on like normal websites. It's a kids animation studio, bro. It's a kids animation studio. That actually worked for me, Skyline. Really? Okay. So it worked for you the second time you clicked on it? That's weird. It did not work for me. Like when I clicked on it, but the link from Google shows bad stuff. Okay, that's weird because okay, yeah, I clicked the link from Google. So if you copy and paste the link, it doesn't go to the link from Google. That is strange. That is so strange. What the fuck? Yeah, that's fucking weird. That's so weird. That is so weird. Oh man. Wow, okay. Anyway, let's let's move on. Maybe it's RNG. I don't know. Um, what the fuck were we talking about? Let's focus on video games. So yeah, whether FF9 remake is gonna be announced this year, I have no idea. But yeah, half of chat is now infected. I know. Wukong DLC, that's probably pretty likely. Starfire, hello. What's up? Astrobot PC. I think that's possible. But I don't know if they would actually put Astrobot on PC or not. I'm going to say God of War 1 or no. Let's put it this way. Oh, God of War remakes or remasters. God of War original trilogy remakes or remasters. Actually, for all I know, chat, God of War 2018 remaster is going to happen. I don't think that's necessary, but given what Sony has done with Horizon Zero Dawn and what Sony has done with The Last of Us Part 1, God of War 2018 remake is like not out of the question. But I do think that we're going to get some type of remake or remaster of the original trilogy. And I think it's overdue, really. I really do. We don't have any native way to play the God of War trilogy. Because right now, if you go and play God of War like 1 and 2 on PS5 from like PSN, it's all via cloud streaming. It's not happening natively on your platform. So just being able to run these titles locally is a huge win. So I am going to say that the God of War remasters are coming or remakes, and I think it'll be huge. I think it'll be really crucial to finally be able to play these games without having to be on cloud. I am hoping that it's a little bit closer to a remake. It doesn't have to look exactly like 2018, but if these titles can look remake-ish, if they can look more like a Crisis Core reunion in terms of the visual update, I'd be pretty satisfied with them. They'll probably just put them on PSN, to be honest. See, I would have thought they would have done that by now. Because you have native versions of other games that are on there, but not of God of War. So the remakes are probably coming. To what extent, I don't know. Or remasters. It just depends. Kingdom Hearts 1 remaster? We already have a Kingdom Hearts 1 remaster. I can't say it. If I say it, people will get mad. I don't know why Kingdom Hearts fans get so mad about the idea of Kingdom Hearts fans get really mad about the idea of a Kingdom Hearts 1 remake for some reason. They do not like people talking about a KH1 remake. They're like, no, we don't need a Kingdom Hearts 1 remake. I'm like, dude, we got a Resident Evil 4 remake. Like, shit that like didn't need remakes is getting remakes. So like, why is Kingdom Hearts 1 like off limits? I don't even understand. Like, why is KH1 off limits to the Kingdom Hearts community when like other shit that doesn't need a remake also gets a remake anyways? I can name to you shit that aged way better or worse than Kingdom Hearts 1, but for some reason Kingdom Hearts 1 is like, oh no, you can't do that. Like that's like wrong or something. I don't understand like why KH fandom like I remember like a KH like content creator fan like suggesting it like once and like the KH community like freaking out on him and I was thinking like what is wrong with you? We got a remake of everything, but KH1 is like so sacred that it just can't be remade. Like, come on now. The only thing that like would like make a KH1 remake complicated is that like I think the rights to some of the titles has gotten more complicated since then. Tarzan in particular, I think someone said is actually kind of difficult. to uh get in the game for some reason. I don't remember. Someone said something like that. They don't own Tarzan anymore. That's what it is. So Disney got Tarzan rights again, I think this year. Okay. Well, if they can get Tarzan back, then I'm cool with it. Well, then yeah, go ahead and remake Kingdom Hearts 1. Okay, so what else do we have for this year that should really be coming? Okay, I got another one for the bro is capping category. Bloodborne something. I don't know what it is. Maybe a PC port, maybe a remaster, maybe just an acknowledgement that that game came out. But I do think that Bloodborne something is going to be announced this year. Maybe that's copium. I'm not saying that, like, that I know for a fact, but I think the vibes are there for something to happen with Bloodborne this year. Bloodborne PS5 edition, now that Sony got their hands on the studio, unlikely unless it's a port. Why is 9R on capping? Didn't it literally leak as a Peter report? 9R is on capping because it's been like every like event where like 9R should happen, but then it doesn't. So I'm done with it until it's real. And listen, 9R is on there because I'm so tired of like it's happening and then it just doesn't happen. And then it leaks again and then it never gets announced. And then a journalist is like, "Yeah, I saw Final Fantasy IX remake," and then nobody else sees it. So until it fucking happens, I'm like, I'm not acknowledging it anymore. I'm like, I'm fucking done. I'll when I see it, I'll believe it. Until then, I'm like, man, I can't do this anymore. What else do we got, chat? Lost Soul, Power Ult was shut down. Maybe a VR shooter for Call of Duty series. I think 7R3 will announce soon and we'll finally know the title. Virum Rex reveal trailer. Final Fantasy 6 HD 2D, that would be awesome. This might be cap, but people are shouting to the high heavens Persona 4 remake. Oh man. Persona 4 remake will happen, but like not this year. Or not it won't be announced this year. At the earliest, Persona 4 remake will be announced next year by the people who made Persona 3 remake. And that's at the earliest. I'd rather have a Persona 2 remake first. I would rather have a Persona 2 remake first as well. But let's be real. Which one do you think is getting remade? It probably ain't the less popular title first. It's probably the more popular title, and that's Persona 4. Do you know Boktai? No, I don't know. I think a Persona 4 remake would do more harm than good. If I'm honest. Like, I think like a Persona 4 remake would like hurt things. Can we get FF11 offline? Oh man, I don't know what's gonna happen with FF11. Part of me thinks that Square Enix will literally just let FF11 like stay in maintenance mode for as long as possible and then die. Because I really wonder if they have any kind of plans to maintain it. And part of me, Rick, really does think that like it's not gonna be a thing. What's that one indie game where your prisoners got to escape jail? I'm not sure. Clive and Tekken? Ha ha ha. Tifa and Tekken. Maybe. Dragon Quest 12 update? Okay. I do think that Dragon Quest 12 update, I'm putting it under maybe slash long shot. Here is why. I do think it's possible that we get a Dragon Quest 12 update this year, but I don't think we're going to get much more than that, and it's going to be a pretty small teaser. I think that Dragon Quest 12 is like a 2027 game. I don't think it's a 2025 game. Typically, the game that has the most revealed is the one that's further ahead in development and is coming first. So I think that their big title for 2026 is Kingdom Hearts 4, and their big title for 2027 is probably Dragon Quest 12. Their big title for 2025, I have no idea. Maybe it really is Nier 3. Maybe Nier 3 will like be announced and released this year. That's the copium. It has been 8 years since Nier Automata, and Nier Automata has just been confirmed to have sold 9 million units. I think that Square would be foolish to wait any longer to do a proper console follow-up for Nier Automata. 2B is everywhere. People are still buying Nier Automata on Steam. It is still like a revered game in that way. So I just think that it's really important that they get something out related to Nier this year that is really major. Keep the Nier franchise growing. It's the fastest growing franchise that Square Enix has right now. And so, yeah, maybe Nier will be their 2025 game. Kingdom Hearts 4 be their 2026 game, and Dragon Quest 12 be the 2027 game. That's like my optimistic look at what they may potentially do. I need to play the Nier series. You do need to play the Nier series. It's amazing. It's one of my favorites. Last year they said they had a Nier. Yeah, they were supposed to have a major Nier announcement in 2024, and then it just disappeared, and it never happened. The only major announcement happened was that Nier Reincarnation was shutting down. So that wasn't too good. But I do think that we're going to get something good from Nier eventually. Drakengard 4? Maybe. But I would file that under like Nier 3-ish. FF7 R Part 3 in 2027? Okay. I will put it under Bro is capping. Final Fantasy VII Remake Part 3 is announced. But it's probably only the title. Okay, so that's my prediction, is that Final Fantasy VII Remake Part 3 will get announced, but we're only going to know the final title, the final retitle, which a lot of people suspect will be Returns. So I think that they will say, thank you everyone for supporting Final Fantasy VII Rebirth. We're hard at work on the next Final Fantasy VII title, Final Fantasy VII Returns. It's going to come to PC and PS5 day one. Actually, there you go. That's the next one. FF7 R3, when announced, will be for PS5 and PC. Day one. Witcher 4 gameplay. Have they confirmed the actual release year of Witcher 4? That's still unconfirmed, right? I don't think. Yeah. I'm filing this one under Bro is Capping. Witcher 4 gameplay reveal. I don't think it's happening. I don't think it's happening. Looking at the information, and it kind of seems like Witcher 4 might actually be a cross-gen title for PlayStation 6. Like I'm willing to bet. Like let me see something really quickly. Since I can remember, I'm like looking at this IGN article. Gonna control F. Do they have anything about the release date? Have they spoken on it so far? Via press release. We estimate that The Witcher 4 won't be released until at least 2026. Okay, so here's my bet. Witcher 4 gameplay reveal 2025, maybe. But will probably be a cross-gen game for PS6. I do think The Witcher 4 is coming to PS5, but my bet is going to be that it's really going to be meant for PlayStation 6. The Witcher 4 has entered full-scale production, CD Projekt Red has confirmed, and the date of this article... Oh, that's from November. So this article is from November, dude. And it just entered full-scale production, it looks like. Another milestone for the next Witcher game complete. Congrats to the whole team. I'm proud to see how you progressed over time. Entering production stage of Polaris is an important step on our path to deliver the game and our long-term strategic goals. Let's look at the whole thing. Go team, go. Yeah, this is from November of 2024, where The Witcher 4 entered full-scale production. Yeah, that game's not coming anytime soon. In fact, we can go crap. We can go um back to here and we can say um what do you call it? This isn't happening. We can take that one off the list. Yeah. Yeah, it's not happening this year for sure. I mean, Expedition 33 is already confirmed for this year. So we know that one's happening. Let's see. What else do we got, chat? Next game from FF16 team gets announced. Maybe it might be too early for that one. There was an interview with the Witcher devs where it was noted the trailer says unannounced NVIDIA graphics card. Yeah, it says that like pinned to the bottom of the trailer. So I don't think it's happening. FF16 would be perfect for the Nier 3 gameplay. Actually, you're right. I think they could probably do it. So, okay, hold on one second. Okay, we'll do it. We'll put it under maybe even. Final Fantasy 16 dev team announces new title. Actually, why even put that? Let's say Yoshi P's Creative Studio 3 announces new game. So I do think that we're going to see something new from Yoshi P soon, eventually. Are we only acknowledging games you would play? Not necessarily. Final Fantasy 17 announcement is bro is capping? Yeah. We're just acknowledging games. We found out what Natsuko Ishikawa is working on. No, we still don't know what she's working on. Do you think Nier 3 will be developed by Platinum? No. Actually, I think, well, actually, I don't know, actually. Maybe? Maybe. But Platinum looks like they're dead. Yeah, Platinum looks dead. Yeah, I think Platinum is going to shut down, like, soon. Like, literally everyone has left Platinum. So I don't think that, like, Platinum is, like... I don't think Platinum is working. Resident Evil 9 announcement. I'm putting RE9 under likely. In fact, we could probably put RE9 under definitely. I feel pretty strongly that it's coming this year. It's at least going to be announced. Capcom has been incredibly frequent about releasing Resident Evil games. We just got RE4 in 2023, and I'm willing to bet that RE9 is at least going to be announced, but it's probably going to be coming later this year. I would say at the tail end of the year, so sometime between September and December, probably in the fourth quarter of the year. Q4, if I had to place a bet, is when I think RE9 is coming. I have no bets on the specifics. I literally don't know if it's going to continue to be the first-person view that 7 and 8 have been, or if they're going to go with the third-person view that something like Resident Evil 4 was. But I do think it's coming. Are we talking about Capcom? What about new DMC? I'm going to put this one under maybe / long shot, and I'm going to say Devil May Cry 6 announcement. Because DMC 5 sold really well. I think it probably sold better than they were expecting. I want to say DMC 5 is at like 8 or 9 million units right now. So that's a really valuable new IP that's doing about as good as Resident Evil. So if they're smart, they would definitely be working on a brand new Devil May Cry. Um, so I have a good feeling that that's coming. Thunder's Productions, thank you so much for the super chat. Happy New Year to you too. How about Silk Song? I don't keep up with Silk Song, so actually I don't know. I actually have no idea how like I just don't know anything about Silk Song to like even quantify like where I would put that. Um, but I hear a lot of people talking about it. Capcom does 2-bit games a year, right? DMC 6 could be the same year as Onimusha. That's true. And then we're also getting Monster Hunter Wilds this year, right? So to me, it would only follow suit that after the release of Monster Hunter Wilds, they would then want to build people up to the next big game, which I think will be either which I think will be either RE9 or it'll be Devil May Cry 6. It'll be one of those two. Or Mega Man? No, that's just wishful thinking. Come on now. Come on now, Mega Man. You know they ain't gonna do shit with Mega Man now. Come on now. It'll be Monster Hunter, DMC 6, or RE9, Onimusha. Yeah, I think that checks. Or I could really see it being Monster Hunter, RE9, Onimusha, and then DMC 6. I think that's also possible too. Have we given up all hope of a FF9 remake? Not all hope, just a lot of it. Like I said, I still think it's real, but it's just like, I mean, we almost definitely know it's real, but like, I'm just baffled as to why it hasn't been announced yet. Mega Man, more like make it dead. That's so true. True, King. Um, Maybe it's safe for the Switch 2 showcase. Okay, speaking of Switch 2 showcase, I got another one for you guys under likely. Breath of the Wild remastered for Switch 2. Possible launch title. Okay. The reason I think that Breath of the Wild remastered could come to Switch 2 as a possible launch title is that they showed off behind closed doors Breath of the Wild running at 4K 60 on the new system. And many journalists reported on this. So it is something that they've already messed around with doing, seeing how that game would look at 4K 60. You need launch titles for Switch 2. What could be better than to launch Breath of the Wild remastered for Switch 2, right? And you can even connect it back to the first Switch. Like, oh, Breath of the Wild was like such a great, launch title for the Switch, and now you can play it in 4K 60 graphics, and we added like a couple of other pieces of content, and it's better than ever. So be sure to check out Breath of the Wild remastered for Switch 2. And honestly, let's be real, I think I would buy Breath of the Wild remastered for Switch 2. Just to get it like in that crisp 4K 60. So I'm not only going to say that this is maybe, I'm going to say likely. I genuinely think Breath of the Wild remastered is going to be a thing because it was a thing for journalists behind closed doors. And Nintendo said, oh, we're not necessarily saying that this is an official game that we're going to announce. But you made it. You already experimented with doing it. Why wouldn't you release it and make a profit, right? Like, it's not even complicated. You're literally just porting it to the new system, changing the resolution and upping the frame rate. and people will buy it in the millions. Why not just update Tears of the Kingdom with 4K 60 instead of Breath of the Wild? Because Breath of the Wild is older. So you release Breath of the Wild remastered first, and then you wait 4 or 5 years, and then you release Tears of the Kingdom remastered. Not even necessarily 4 or 5 years. You wait like 1 or 2 years, and then you release Tears of the Kingdom remastered. Because the thing is that sure, you can do like Breath of the Wild and Tears of the Kingdom remastered together, but you can't just skip the Tears of the Kingdom, because if you skip the Tears of the Kingdom, then people are going to be like, well, I wanted Breath of the Wild. Elden Ring for Switch 2? Okay, let's do this. Elden Ring, Persona 3 Reload, Metaphor. Actually, no, let's do it like this. Likely Switch 2 games. So we got like a whole new category here for likely Switch 2 games. We'll move Breath of the Wild under there, and then we're going to say, Elden Ring for Switch 2. We're going to say Persona 3 Reload. We're going to say Metaphor Refantasio. We are going to say, and I dare to say this, Final Fantasy VII Remake. And this is where I might be capping. I might be capping on this one, guys. But I'm going to put it there. I'm going to say Final Fantasy VII Rebirth for Switch 2. It will be downgraded. It won't run nearly as well as it does on a PS5 or a PC. But I'm going to say that it's coming. I don't know if IDK F for launch. I'm going to put that because I don't know if Rebirth is going to be there for launch. Final Fantasy VII Remake Part 1 though, absolutely. Rebirth, I don't know. But I am going to say that it is coming. I'm going to make another slightly long shot. Kingdom Hearts. All of them. I'm going to say that the entire Kingdom Hearts series is coming to Switch 2. I know that's insane, but I do think that Kingdom Hearts, all of them, the entire trilogy plus the other spin-off games. I know Kingdom Hearts fans don't get mad at me for calling them spin-off games. They're all going to be coming to Switch 2. And the reason is because Switch 2 will be able to run Kingdom Hearts 3. So that's a big prediction, but I'm saying it. And it's going to run all of them. And not only am I going to say all of them, I'm going to say natively. So it's all going to run on real hardware. That's my big prediction for KH2. Hoyoverse games on KH2? Absolutely. Hoyoverse games for Switch 2. Now, if you guys remember, because I certainly do, originally Genshin Impact was supposed to come to the Nintendo Switch. It was announced, and they said it was coming, and they said it was coming, and then Genshin like never ended up coming for the Switch. So I'm willing to bet Switch 2 is going to be the place where we finally see the Hoyoverse games come to Nintendo. Truly a crime that the Switch version got left with the cloud versions. This is the thing. By the way, if you want to be able to play these games, most of the games on this list, in fact, every single game on this list, if you want to play it on the go, you can literally do that right now with a thing called the Steam Deck. Unless you're a Nintendo diehard, I promise if you get a Steam Deck, you like if you own a Steam Deck and a Switch, you will play the Steam Deck more. I guarantee you. I don't know if that's gonna be the case with Switch 2. Probably not at launch. But like for most people, if you have a Switch and a Steam Deck, like you're gonna just end up playing the Steam Deck more. I promise you. Switch is like half the price though. Yeah, it's also half the value in my opinion though too. Like go look at like the Steam Deck port of Witcher 3 and go look at the Switch port of Witcher 3 and it'll tell you every right? Um is it smart to wait for a Steam Deck 2? At this point probably because I feel like Steam Deck 2 is probably going to follow up Switch 2, right? Switch gets you infinitely more value if you install custom firmware. Well, I can't dispute that one. Will you ever do a studio slash game room tour? Your background looks lit. Well, my background looks lit, but then like the other side of my room doesn't. So I keep this space looking cool, and I keep that space looking like shit. Bro is capping. FF14 mobile version has romanceable NPCs and Scion members. Listen, if they really want to lean into being on mobile, they'll have like bikini outfits that you can like gotcha pull for your stola. If they like really want to lean into like we're a mobile game. Bro cleaned everything that'll be on camera realistically, yeah. And everything that's not on camera is just like a hot ass mess. FF7 Remake announced for Switch 2? Yeah, we got that. We got that right here. Under likely Switch 2 games. It's funny though, because people will always be like, "Oh, PC fans are port begging," and then I'm like, dude, Switch fans freak out when a game that's like 5 years old comes to like Switch. How are PC fans like port begging for a game that came out like last year? Is this a leak? No, this is predictions. FF14 mobile has new VAs for a Realm Reborn cast. Is that confirmed? Bro is capping and SP clears his room. No. Nier Automata on Switch is actually pretty good. But again, it's like one of those games where it's like any person that owned a Switch and a Steam Deck would not play those games on Switch. I mean, generally speaking, my recommendation is like with like Switch versus Steam Deck is like how if you just want to play games on the go, but you're not hard committed to Nintendo, then it probably get a Steam Deck. But if Nintendo is like a gigantic selling point to you and you have to have Nintendo games, then of course I'd say get the Switch. But like if you mostly play third party games and you want like a device that's gonna play third party games and you're not buying a device for like Animal Crossing, then I'd say get a Steam Deck. And you don't have to wait for ports or beg for ports. You can just get them like when they come out. That's why when I think that Sony makes their own handheld again, because that's apparently what's in production, I think it's going to do really well or better than people think because dude, no one wants to like or at least I don't want to like wait for a port for it to come to handheld. But also too, since the big AAA games will come to Sony first, if you can play those on a handheld, it'd be really cool. A Steam Deck is a Switch too, anyways. Yeah. We need more handheld devices. I agree. Xbox is also coming out with one too. So, um, I just hope that the Switch 2 actually has some like storage. Because one thing I really dislike about the current Switch model is the lack of storage. And you have to get like an SD card and stuff like that. And I just feel like there is no excuse for it to not come with like a terabyte of storage. Memory is like not that expensive at all. I love a remaster of the last story of the Lost Odyssey, not happening, unfortunately. Um, do we have anything else for like likely Switch 2 games? Other likely Switch 2 games, Resident Evil remakes. Or actually, we'll just say modern Resident Evil games. Yeah, there was like a rumor I saw on Twitter today going around that like a metaphor thing, like a new game, or not a new game, but like an expanded game, like they do for like Persona 5 Royal, Persona 4 Golden, would happen for Metaphor Fantasio Retold or whatever. Someone was saying, yeah, I don't think that's. I mean, I think that could happen, but I don't think that's happening like a year later. Uh, they never do it that fast. Even like Persona 4 Royal, I mean Persona 4 Royal, Persona 5 Royal was like, 4 years later. So what about 10-3? 10-3 is not happening. I will say though, Persona 3 Reload for Switch 2 will come with some new content. I'm gonna make that bet that it's going to come with something new. That's my theory. Oh, okay. I am gonna I might be capping on this one. A new Smash will be announced for Switch 2. That is going to be my big brain prediction. Is that I do think we are going to get a new Smash. Sakurai conveniently getting busy right around the time that a new Switch is supposed to be coming out. Him conveniently being like, "Oh, I'm too busy to run my YouTube channel now, so I have to go away." That's interesting, sir. What could you possibly be busy with conveniently around the time that Switch 2 is supposed to be coming out with? Is there a game that, in your words, only you can develop? Makes you think. So I'm not even gonna file that one under capping, actually. I'm gonna say that one's like 100% legit. I'm gonna stay strong on that one and say a new Smash is coming for Switch 2. 13 Trilogy remaster. I'll do it, but I'll file it under maybe slash long shot. I'll say the Final Fantasy 13 Trilogy remastered. This seems like it would be an easy one to do. In fact, it's actually kind of funny that they haven't done anything with it. I think the reason that we haven't gotten Final Fantasy 13 Trilogy remastered yet is simply because I think that Square Enix thinks they need to do a lot more work, at least to the first game, to properly remaster it. And by that, I think they think that they need to do a little bit to the graphics. I think that they want to polish the gameplay a little bit more, add some important quality of life features that were really missing from that first game. And I also think that that's probably a correct assumption, because I don't think that they should just be releasing Final Fantasy 13 the way it is and just being like, oh, it's a remaster, it's the same game, but it just plays at 4K 60 now. I don't think that's like good. They should absolutely add some quality of life updates. For people who think that that game is fine the way it is, I absolutely challenge you to play it on PC or on Xbox and still tell me that that game does not need any quality of life additions and that it should just be the same thing as it is now. I guarantee you, you will not, you will definitely agree with me after you go back and touch that game. It needs some work. There is a lot of things that that game is missing that just don't make any goddamn sense. And it's a big reason why that game was so criticized when it was first launched. If they release the game as it is now, all they're going to do is get all the same criticism that they got back in 2010 when they first launched the game. Right? For example, there's an arbitrary level cap on each chapter. Why? You can't switch characters mid-battle. Why? You can have two characters in your party, but the game forces you to control one of them. Literally why? The game's money system is dumb. The game's side questing is bad. The list goes on and on and on and on. A lot of that stuff was fixed immediately in 13.2. But yeah, a lot of people don't really have a clear memory of what 13 base game was like. And so it needs work. It was pretty similar for Crisis Core, right? Because people were like, oh, they should port Crisis Core. I'm like, listen, they can't just throw Crisis Core up there. You guys don't remember what that game was actually like. If that game was to just be re-released, it would not be received in the way that you think it would be received. People would play that and they would be like, yo, this game is kind of cheeks. Thankfully, they did what they did with Crisis Core Reunion, which greatly improved that game and made it a significantly better experience in near countless ways. But if you go back and play the original version of Crisis Core for PSP, you're going to be like, damn, this shit kind of sucks, actually. And you'll be right. So, Reunion was like a really important, necessary update for Crisis Core. And I think that Final Fantasy 13 also needs that type of update. One thing I don't think a lot of people remember about Final Fantasy 13, because a lot of people don't own a PC, a lot of people don't own the game on PC, but the camera in Final Fantasy 13 is actually atrocious. And I don't think a lot of people like genuinely remember how bad the camera was in 13, which is, I know is weird, but 13 has like this weird over-the-shoulder camera, and it's actually extremely clunky. It's somehow like they had like a perfect camera with Final Fantasy 12, and then like Final Fantasy 13 has like a weird ass, like, I don't know what they were thinking with 13's camera, but 13 has like a weird camera. And I think only people who played 13 recently like really remember like that, how wonky 13's camera really was. The cameraman quit after 12. Yeah. I think they fixed the camera in 13 too. But yeah, 13.1 has a weird fucking camera to it. I never thought it was that bad. It's not unplayable. It's not like Kingdom Hearts 1 camera or anything, but it's not like good for like a PS3 game. For a PS3 game, 13's camera sucks. Like bad for a PS3 game. Like by PS3, like we had like modern camera controls, right? Like that's what you expect. And it's not quite modern camera controls. It's like it's wonky. Again, this is the type of stuff when I say that people don't remember 13 that well. Like stuff like that, like okay, it would do this thing where the camera like when you first start accelerating the character, the camera doesn't move and then it zooms back out as the character follows. It's really weird. I don't know how to explain it. Like I said, the camera in 13 is not unplayable. It's just like it's just really fucking wonky, actually. I played 13 recently. The camera is so bad, it just feels uncomfortable while walking. Yeah. Okay, so you played it recently, so you know, right? That's what I'm saying. Like a lot of people like forget like a lot of like the small issues with 13, and I'm telling you, if they released that game as it is, it would get lambasted. Because it has so many like small issues that don't make any sense. 13 does try to do fixed camera angles with free mixed with free cam. It does. Like sometimes it'll do that stuff. I actually think that stuff is cool, but that's not necessarily like what I'm talking about. Like I just mean like the actual free camera part portions itself are kind of weird. I don't know how to explain it. Like the way the camera actually follows the character is really stupid and awkward. And I don't know if footage can like really capture like what I mean, but if you're playing it, you would like immediately understand like what I mean by the camera. Like again, it's not like such an abomination that it can't be played. It's just like if you go back and play it as a modern gamer, you'll find it like very janky and weird that it does that. For 2009, 2010, the camera wasn't too bad compared to this decade. It's very jarring if you go back. Yeah. I thought it was actually pretty jarring for the time because I think that like if you look at like Kingdom Hearts 2, that was like I think that was the perfect video game camera. Like the best video game camera ever made at the time. To me that was like, okay, this is good. This is like the best like action game camera that you can have without it being fixed. I've been playing Type 0 HD that and that camera is way worse in that game. Yeah, Type 0 HD was so unfortunate. The PSP version of Type 0 is so cool, but the HD version is just awful, man. The camera speed in this way feels disconnected from the stick sensitivity in a weird feeling way. That's exactly it, Ultra Shiny Mew. Yeah. That's exactly the right way to describe it. It's very weird. It's very weird. But again, the way I'm describing it, I'm probably sound hyperbolic and I probably make it sound like, oh, it's like completely unplayable or something like that. I don't mean to make it sound like that. I just mean that the camera is like really weird and wonky in a way that like will make you kind of nauseated. Like if you play it with a 2025 lens, you'll be like, this feels weird. And it wasn't just an of the era thing because like I said, even other Square Enix games of that era didn't have like a camera as wonky as 13's for some reason. FF12 and Kingdom Hearts 2 had normal cameras that worked well. But like for some reason, 13 had like a kind of weird camera. PSP version has nicer graphics, sure, no HD models, but lighting, colors, atmosphere is a lot nicer, and everything looks more coherent overall. The PSP version mocks the HD version like so hard, so hard. I don't know what the fuck they were thinking. They thought that they cooked with the HD version of Type Zero. They so didn't. It looks ugly. I legitimately would have preferred like a straight up just port, like HD port of the game rather than what they did, which was like basically obliterate the game's art style in the worst way possible. And I know that sounds hyperbolic, but anyone who's seen like the original Type Zero and how cool that thing looked on PSP, and then if you looked at like the the camera, man, the camera any different on the PSP version? I mean, no, the camera's kind of ass either way. If I recall correctly, it's worse on the PSP version because you can't control this with the stick. So, and the in-engine stuff doesn't match the cutscenes. Dude, it's a hot ass mess. It's a hot ass mess. Octopath Traveler 3 announcement. I think that one's possible, but I'll put it under maybe for now. Octopath Traveler 3. I think that one's solid. You guys think there'll be a new Bravely game? Okay, I'll say new Bravely Default. Actually, we'll just like we'll put it like this. New Team Asano game. I hope Square will do smaller games after they said they didn't want to anymore. They will. I think they will. But they'll be more selective about their smaller games. Like if you remember, like was it 2022 where they released like Star Ocean, Valkyrie Elysium, a ton of other like smaller titles, Neo, Tweety, and like all these games, and it was all within like a span of a few months. They were just pushing them out, pushing them out. I think that is what they're not going to do anymore. They just like shoved out so much shit all at once and gave none of it space, none of it time, none of it care. Um, and then it didn't meet expectations, and they're like, "Why isn't the game selling?" And it's just like, well, yeah, bro. What the fuck did you expect? Oh, Neo was 2021. Okay, my bad. Um, but like that was like one of the good double A games that Square Enix put out. Because let's be honest here, right? I think the problem with Square Enix's double A games was just that most of them weren't good. Bluntly speaking, like if you look at the Metascore for most of them, they are really fucking bad. Most of them are like in the 60s or the 70s. They didn't get the polish they needed. Yeah, exactly. And a lack of marketing. Yeah, I agree. And so they just shoved a lot of stuff out. And my hope is that now they're going to slow that down and not really just shove stuff out as much. I hope. Because if you look at Atlas, right? Atlas is a company that runs on double A games. Like it's all they produce. But each Atlas double A game is like a banger, right? And the problem is that each Square Enix double A game is not a banger. That's the issue. So a lot of Square Enix double A games are like hit and miss, right? Sometimes you get like Sometimes you get Octopath Traveler, and then sometimes you get fucking like, Valkyrie Elysium. And the fact that there's no consistency there is like the issue. I remember bad things about Soul Hackers 2. Yeah, Soul Hackers 2 is unfortunate. I like the design of the main character though. I wanted Valkyrie to be good. Me too. That was like such a disappointment. New Fire Emblem game for Switch 2. Oh god, I hope that's true. And I'm going to say it. I'm going to say it. I hope it's a little bit more like Three Houses. I hope it's a little bit more like Three Houses than um what do you call it? Engage. Sorry. My brain froze for a second. Yeah, I hope it's more like Three Houses than Engage, because now I'm hating. I didn't even play Engage, so I'm sure that like somebody in chat or on the comment on the VOD will be like, "Yo, actually, Engage was a real good game. It was a better Fire Emblem. You're a fake Fire Emblem fan. Listen, bro, Three Houses fucked. That game was classic on day one, brother. That game was a masterpiece." All right, I don't give a fuck, which old Fire Emblem game you say is like better or whatever. I fucking loved Fire Emblem Three Houses. Fun fact, Fire Emblem Three Houses is what actually got me into Persona. Because when I was playing Fire Emblem Three Houses, people were like, "Bro, that's just like a Persona game, right? You like the calendars? You like the fucking like dating sim? Well, wait till you fucking try a Persona game." And then I tried a Persona game, and I'm like, oh shit, you're right. This is just like getting more Fire Emblem Three Houses. So I like literally went from like Fire Emblem Three Houses to Persona 5 Royal, and I was like, this shit is fucking incredible. So I've always been like a big calendar game stan since like I played my first one, which ironically, my first calendar game was not a Persona. It was Fire Emblem Three Houses, which Fire Emblem Three Houses is also a Persona. I've been actually thinking that maybe I could get my girlfriend to play Fire Emblem Three Houses. And I think she'd actually like it because she'd like the dating sim aspect. Awakening remaster would be nice, yeah. The calendar genre of video games. Actually, yeah, I do think that the calendar game is like a genre now because think about it, right? Um, it's not just Persona, it's Fire Emblem Three Houses, and then it's also like a lot of the Trails games, right? Cold Steel also as a calendar game. Are the Ulterior games, are those also calendar? I haven't played them. But yeah, so it's just a genre now, right? Like you choose what you're gonna do each day. Yeah, it's a genre. The calendar game genre. Deadline RPG. Metaphor, of course, yeah. Catherine used the calendar too, right? Although you didn't really choose as much what you were going to do. Majora's Mask, I guess. I don't know if Majora's Mask like quite counts as like a calendar game. Catherine is a Deadline RPG adjacent game. Okay, so now we're getting into the difference between a roguelike and a roguelite. It has light calendar game elements. Like, no, 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 bro. It's not a Souls like, it's a Souls light. Oh. I want a calendar game where you can do more than one thing per day. You can do more than one thing per day in most of them. You can do two things. And those two things usually are one, a a social link, and then like a social stat boost is usually the two things you can do in a day. Unless you're Persona 5, where you get to do like one thing and then the cat tells you you need to go to sleep. A low key, I actually think that P5 has like the worst fucking implementation of the calendar. Is that a hot take? I fucking hate P5's like implementation of the calendar. Like looking back at it, it probably had like the weakest calendar implementation ever, and like 90% of that is Morgana. And like, bear in mind, I played Royal, so I played the version where Morgana was better. I don't even want to know what it was like in base P5 where Morgana was just like that. It's so bad. Yeah, yeah, it is. It is like P5's calendar is the worst. Okay. Okay, I'm glad it's not just me. Because I think that like 4 Golden and 3 Reload have better, and Metaphor all have better implementation. Royal is unbelievably better than base for that. Right, and it still sucks in Royal even. Like at least until you get to the third semester and you have more time than you could ever possibly want. Love that system. Really fond memory of playing Persona 3 FES back in the day, 2008, I think it was. Learned English thanks to Persona. Wow, that's awesome. Holy shit. Dude, that's cool. That's so awesome. Yeah, Metaphor has the best implementation of the calendar ever. Like, by a fucking billion miles. The only thing is that I do think that Reload aced Metaphor in the fact that the fully voiced social links are actually a bigger deal, at least to me, than anyone ever gives them credit for. Like to me, the fact that like Persona core audience, like or not core audience, but like Persona like hardcore stands will still tell people to go back to play FES because like it's like a little bit harder and there's no like green filter on some stuff is an utterly fucking insane statement to make and that nobody fucking reasonable cares about. Like it's so utterly. I'm gonna be honest. Like most of the criticism, and listen, this is someone who's been as someone who's been critical of remakes myself and everything else. The criticisms that like Persona hardcore fans make about Reload is some of the most fucking ridiculous. Like nobody cares shit ever. Like and like I get it. Right, I get that like if you're a hardcore Persona fan that it matters, but for like 90% of people who are just casual and like want a good story and decent gameplay, all the stuff that you're talking about does not fucking matter. It is like it's like it could not possibly be more irrelevant to normal people who just want to get into Persona 3. It's just, and that's not to say that they're not valid. Like I've seen some very valid critiques, very well thought out critiques. It's just to say that those critiques only really matter to the people who played the original game and not to anyone who's a new casual fan. I'd say go play FES because it's unique work with artistic value. Reload does not create the experience of FES, which makes FES its own thing with its own value. Yeah, yeah, yeah. And I think that could be broadly true of the original version of any game versus its remake, right? is that the original version of a game is still like its own unique experience and has like its own artistic value. Even if the remake in almost all regards is better, quote unquote, that the original work still has like this intangible quality to it that still should be witnessed in its own right if you loved the remake per se. But like, here is the thing: Persona 5 across Royal in the original game has sold 7 million units, right? And the original P3 FES did not sell anywhere near that. And so some people will be like, oh, they Persona 5'd Persona 3. And that's what Reload is. And I'm like, yeah, bro. Their audience grew by like 10 times the size because of Persona 5. So they needed to make a game that appealed to the audience that, like, you know, added a 0 to the end of the size of their audience, right? Added an extra digit. And so they made a game that was targeted at their new audience. And I talked about this before, but I do think that the apex of remakes is more so in satisfying a new audience than it is satisfying like the old audience, right? Because us old heads who were there at the point of playing a revolutionary game, I don't think we can ever get that feeling back, right? Like for us, we can't really get the feeling of like going through that revolutionary story again for the first time. No matter how good or how well retold it is, I don't think that anything can ever be experiencing that story again for the first time necessarily. But what it can be is, and this also has like its own unique value, this isn't to downplay remakes, it can be its own unique experience in itself, right? So let me put it this way. Playing RE4 for the first time, you don't get the same feeling that you get playing RE4 Remake for the first time. What you get is the feeling of playing RE4 Remake for the first time. And RE4 Remake is its own thing. And also not, but also yes. Right? And so what that means is that RE4 Original still has like its own unique value and like it's still like its own really important piece of history and it's still worth revisiting and you know, and it doesn't mean that the remake itself isn't worth it. It just means that you know, the remake itself is also its own unique artistic experience that is worth having, if that makes sense. So yeah. Anyway, a lot of the stuff that people get on Reload about is like ridiculous, and most people who play Reload and get the story of Persona 3 will really enjoy it. And the fully voiced social links are going to make people care about these characters a lot more. It's definitely going to be wild to see people's reaction to Persona 4 Remake. I'm going to fucking delete my account when Persona 4 Remake comes out. Okay. Okay, so we got some requests in the chat to go back through the list again for people who are joining us late. So these are our 2025 gaming predictions. Switch 2 reveal. Oh, let me go back. So this is under definitely. This is stuff that we like know will happen for sure, that is going to happen. Like guaranteed. A lot of it is semi-confirmed, and a lot of it is you can just bet your butt on it. So the first thing we have here is Switch 2 reveal. Absolutely happening. Like, no question about it. Stellar Blade for PC. They've already basically confirmed that as well. Dragon Quest 1 and 2 HD 2D. That one's already kind of confirmed. I don't even think we need to really write that on the list. It's so confirmed. I mean, it's explicitly confirmed, but that's happening. Kingdom Hearts Missing Link is going to be released this year. And we also bet that at least one AAA title will be delayed as a result of Grand Theft Auto 6 coming out. Is Grand Theft Auto 6 really coming out this year, or is it coming out 2026? I don't know. In either case, I'm willing to bet that this is something that absolutely happens. Then we have likely. This is things that we think are going to happen. It is something that is like, maybe like 50 to 70% likelihood. And that is, we have Switch 2 being as powerful as a PS4 Pro. We have Kingdom Hearts 4 getting an update, which I think is going to happen this year. We're going to get a brand new trailer for the game. Game is probably not coming until next year. That is what the vibes are telling me. I do think that Final Fantasy Tactics Remastered could be coming this year, at the very least, an announcement. And also, I think we're finally going to see Resident Evil 9 this year. In terms of our likely Switch 2 games, we have Breath of the Wild Remaster for Switch 2, possibly a launch title, Elden Ring, Persona 3 Reload, which might come with some new content, Metaphor ReFantazio, Final Fantasy VII Remake, Final Fantasy VII Rebirth, although I'm a little hesitant that this one's going to come for launch, although I think it'd be cool if it did. Kingdom Hearts, all of them, natively. So I think that Kingdom Hearts, at the very least, 1 through 3, could come to that. And by that, I mean the collections. Basically, the Kingdom Hearts, like, Master Collection, whatever they call it. I think it's possible that Kingdom Hearts 4 comes. I'm not betting on it, but I won't rule out that Kingdom Hearts 4 could come to Switch 2. Hoyoverse games are going to come, so I think that Genshin, Star Rail, and ZZZ are coming. Modern Resident Evil games, I don't know which one they're going to port first, but I do think that we're going to get either Resident Evil 2 or Resident Evil 4 Remake first, maybe 7. It might be a thing where they just release all of them one game at a time. And this one should probably be under the Capcom one, but like I put it here anyway. And that is, I think we're going to get a new Smash for Switch 2. I think it's going to happen. And this is maybe / a long shot. This is stuff that isn't like, confirmed. It is far from it. Actually, this is shit that is like straight up not as confirmed. And we have no reason to realistically think that this is going to happen. But some stuff here is rumored, like God of War Trilogy remakes. But this is like kind of like reasonably hopeful stuff. Nier 3 announcement or Nier update. Now, part of the reason we think this is because they did say that there's going to be some type of Nier update coming in the near future. Taro has promised this, and I do think that we are overdue for a new Nier. I also think that it has been 8 years since the release of Nier Automata, and we are due for a new Nier game. So it would just be sensible to me if we have that. And the next thing would be God of War Trilogy remakes or remasters. This has been long rumored. And Sony is not opposed to doing remakes and remasters. In fact, maybe Sony could benefit from being a little opposed, actually. Because they do too many. Dragon Quest 12 update, which again, I don't think we're gonna get much on Dragon Quest 12. I think Dragon Quest 12 is like a 2027 game, but I do think there's gonna be some type of teaser for Dragon Quest 12 this year. I don't think it's gonna be major. I think it'll be really brief. And it might come before or after 1 and 2 to hype those games up. Yoshi P's Creative Studio 3 announces a new game. I think this one is closer to Bro is Cappin' than maybe / long shot. But we might hear something about this. I'm thinking that's like 2026 personally, but we have that under the maybe. We have a Devil May Cry 6 announcement. That would come like late in the year, after Monster Hunter Wild, for Capcom to build up their next thing. Personally, I don't think Devil May Cry 6 is getting an announcement really anytime soon. But I will say that I do think that it will come after RE9. Final Fantasy 13 Trilogy remaster. Again, I think that that's something that could happen. Again, it'll also help Square Enix fill this void that they have right now, because between now and Kingdom Hearts 4, because I do think Kingdom Hearts 4 is probably coming before Remake 3, right? I think everyone agrees on that. Maybe. Actually, I don't know. I don't even know if I agree on that, actually, now I think about it. Well, I do think Kingdom Hearts 4 is coming before Remake 3. I would like to think Kingdom Hearts 4 is coming before Remake 3. So, yeah. That's going to be a long gap, whichever one of those games comes first. And I think that Final Fantasy 13 Trilogy Remastered can fill in that gap for FF fans. A new Team Asano game. I don't know if that's going to be Bravely Default 3 or Octopath Traveler 3 or whatever, but chat seems pretty strongly convinced that a new Team Asano game is coming. And I agree. I don't disagree with chat on that. A new Fire Emblem game. This one's mostly just this might be like the wish list part of things, but I want there to be a new Fire Emblem. And I want it to be more like Three Houses because I prefer Three Houses. And then we have the bro is capping category, which is like where I might be lying. we might be we might be on one. I'm not gonna lie to you, but this is what we're thinking, right? Persona 6 will be announced. Now, I actually think this one's a little bit more likely than not. I do think we're gonna get Persona 6 announcement this year. It's been 8 years since Persona 5. And I think it might actually be 9. Yeah, later this year it'll be 9 years since Persona 5. If they don't have Persona 6 cooking, then we're cooked. Like, that's a bad situation. So I actually do think that Persona 6 is going to get an announcement this year, even if it's just the logo. P6. Final Fantasy IX Remake will be announced. Now, I know what you're saying. Final Fantasy IX Remake has been rumored for a very long time. It's been confirmed by so many different multiple sources that it exists in some shape or form that it's like, why is this one under Bro is Capping? And the reason is, for those who weren't here earlier, it's just that the game has been missing in action for so long that every time a journalist talks about, oh, it's real, every time it leaks from something like the Epic Game Store or when it leaked from Nvidia or like, and the data mine shows that FF9 remake is real. And I'm tired of it. Show me the fucking game. So until then, FF9 remake has been banished. Like I've banished it. I'm tired. I'm tired of waiting on FF9 remake. I just can't do it anymore. And even Jason Schreier said FF9 remake exists. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like it's not even a myth. Like the game absolutely is a real video game. Like FF9 remake should be moved up to definitely. Like, but the fact of the matter is that I'm just too fucking tired. And FF9 remake has it's just been too long. It's been too long, and I'm done. So when it's announced, then it'll be real, and I'll be excited for it. Until then, I'm gonna I'm treating it like a myth. It's an urban legend. Bloodborne something. I know. This is probably the most far-fetched thing on the entire list. But I would like to say that we're gonna get Bloodborne something this year. For real this time, guys. Whether it's a remaster, PC release, Bloodborne 2, I do think that they've heard us, and I do think that well, Instant Gaming even say it and show the image on their website. Well, they have a lot of placeholders, so you'll see a ton of placeholders on their site for stuff that like isn't even announced yet. So I wouldn't read too much into it. Final Fantasy VII Remake Part 3 is announced, but only the title. So what I'm predicting for this one is they are going to say, we are hard at work on the next Final Fantasy VII title. Thank you guys so much for supporting us with Rebirth. The next title will be called Final Fantasy VII Returns. We can't speak any more on it this year. Please wait to next year for more updates. This is like my biggest like thing about like whether it can be announced this year. However, if it is announced, if it is announced, my prediction is that Final Fantasy VII Remake will be available for PC and PS5 day one. So it'll be the first time that the exclusivity issue is broken, and they'll say, yeah, you can get it on PC and PS5. Unless some ironclad clause in the PS5 exclusivity agreement, Square Enix and Sony disallow that. Yeah, well, I would buy it on both PS5 and PC. PC to have a physical copy, but play it on my PC for max graphics, yeah. And that's also part of why when I discussed yesterday, or not yesterday, a few days ago, and a lot of people like got mad when I said this. When I said that like multi-platform is not necessarily like the magic pill to fix FF's issues, because I don't think that, or how should I put it? I think that like roughly the same number of people will buy it, but I think what's going to happen is that just like some people will buy it on PS or PC instead of PS5. Like for me, instead of getting the games on PS5, I just get them on PC, right? And so it wouldn't necessarily be like a new customer. Um, but I do think that they should obviously go multi-platform because I mean, it's the most immediate thing that they can fix to have the biggest amount of impact. But really, multi-platform would only help for the most part with Switch 2, um, and in Japan specifically. The reason that I believe it's more of a brand issue than like a multi-platform issue is the fact that like FF has been like FF for all except for two titles in the MMOs has always been PlayStation exclusive. Well, console exclusive, I should say. It was exclusive to Nintendo consoles before that, and then it was exclusive to PlayStation consoles. So basically, if you exclude the MMOs, only two FFs ever have launched multi-platform mainline titles. And so it's only suddenly now for some reason unfeasible for it to do that. But the thing is that the PlayStation as a brand hasn't gotten smaller. It did get smaller in Japan, which is probably part of the reason why you've seen a bit of shrinking in sales, but only by like 1 million or 2. Yeah. So like if you have like a family member or if you have a kid, well maybe not if you have a kid because they're directly influenced by you. But if you like have a family member like a niece or a nephew or like, you know, a friend's kid, ask them if they know what Final Fantasy is. And I think that will tell you the answer. Like ask anyone under sorry, I'm congested. Ask anyone under 20 years old what their knowledge of FF is. And I think that will reveal like the whole thing. They're gonna be like, what the fuck is that? Because I asked like, or they'll know, but they won't really care, which is probably more common. Like I talked to my nephew about it, and he's just like, "Isn't that for old people?" That's kind of like his impression of it. And then, but guess what though? I asked him about Persona, and he knows exactly what Persona is. And he's like, "Oh, Persona always looks so cool." Like my friends talk about Persona. So yeah, you ask the youth. They also know about Nier. They know about 2B pretty well. So that's the challenge, I believe. You know, no one would look at like The Last of Us or God of War and say that those titles were like exclusive and that like they could have sold more and they shot themselves in the foot. But Sony purchased the exclusivity for that title and they treat it like they treat all their first party titles. So, the real question is that just like why isn't it selling like a Sony first party title, especially when it's in line with other Sony first party titles, right? And a lot of people didn't like me saying in the last video where I said that the audience for Final Fantasy VII Remake and Final Fantasy 16 is the people who bought the last, I mean, yeah, people who bought The Last of Us and God of War. And a lot of people just didn't understand what I meant by that. But those are third person narrative action games that are like core to what the Sony brand sells, right? Like, so those games should be like an easy fit. Um, it's like if I came out with a quirky 3D platformer, you would expect it to sell the most on Nintendo, right? Because that's what people buy Nintendo consoles for. Similarly, you'd expect me to sell a first person shooter the best on Xbox, right? Because that's like the core of their audience. And so the next Final Fantasy needs to take place in Akihabara and have Pokemon to to collect to be relevant. I don't think it has to go that far. I just think that it needs to be like a well, actually maybe what I'm suggesting is going further. I actually do think what I'm suggesting is going further. Um and that is what that is that like in order for FF to be like what Square Enix wants it to be, it has to be a genre defining title. And that is what's so hard about this because they want the sales to be like on par with something like a God of War. And I'm like, in order for you to do that, you have to you have to make a genre defining title, right? Like a title that changes video games. A Breath of the Wild type game, like a game that like an Elden Ring type game. And now, yeah, I mean, relatively, FF7 OG, Final Fantasy X, those were those types of games. But I'm like, I don't even know how you begin to approach that type of game, right? Um, and I say that, and then people are like, how do you follow up on that then? I don't fucking know, actually. I think actually only the most intelligent game designers in the world do, really. So, yeah, and it can be in genres that people don't expect. I mean, look at Baldur's Gate 3, right? Nobody expected Baldur's Gate 3. If you would have told me that a top-down isometric CRPG would be game of the year and people would be like glazing BG3 in the way that they do, I would be like, fuck off, right? Like, ain't no way, dude. They could go for a major franchise reboot like God of War 2018 or Breath of the Wild and called it the Final Fantasy. No, I've thought about this, right? Like a brand new game, Final Fantasy 17 maybe should just be called Final Fantasy. Like nothing else. It should just be called Final Fantasy. No number, not even a subtitle. It should just be called Final Fantasy. Like Final Fantasy 2028 is like what people should like call it. But like I've thought about that. But the only problem is that when you do that, there's two outcomes. There's God of War 2018 and there's Sonic 06. Those are the two outcomes uh, that that can happen. And what I mean by that is that if you are to create something like that and call it Final Fantasy, like that's it. It has got to be the best fucking Final Fantasy game ever. It has got to be a genre defining game. it has got to be something that is so good that it is the new foundation for the series going forward. It is both connected and disconnected. It is a reboot. It is the new ground zero. So it has to be something that is phenomenal, right? Otherwise, it just hurts the franchise. DMC Devil May Cry, yeah, that's another example, and like not quite as bad as Sonic 06, but a little bit closer to that side on the spectrum, right? And God of War 2018, where, you know, we actually add 2018 on there just to be clear about it. We just call it, the proper name of the game is just God of War, right? But is God of War similar to The Last of Us at all? I would say so in a lot of ways. Very narrative driven third person games, very strong overlapping audience. I don't think anyone can know what will be a breakout industry changing game because, like, did anyone expect what has blown up since OG FF7 to blow up like they did? I mean, I don't mean FF games in general. Your example BG3 feels like something that shouldn't nowadays, but it did. Right. You're 100% correct. And that's why I say, like, when people ask like how do you follow up on that, then, like, if you want like 20 million in sales, like what do you do to make that? Who fucking knows, right? Because who knows? And even if you can think of like what that would be like right now, when you finish developing a game in like 5 to 7 years, people might be like, no one cares about that shit anymore. That was yesterday's, like, good game. Today's good game is something else, and like all this shit is dated now, and no one. So it's unpredictable. It's unpredictable. And anyone who can like really tell you that they know exactly what it's going to be isn't probably telling like 100% truth. However, I will say that I think there is a couple of commonalities that you can link together on it. I think that you can say, I think that even if something is incredibly niche, if you keep making it good, like really good, like incredibly good, so good that people will make an exception for it, that you don't need to make something that you calculate will be a 20 million seller or something insane like that. And we've seen this time and time again, I feel like. So, BG3, I feel like, is a great example, right? Like, Larian just knew how to make a good CRPG. And they have been making, the Baldur's Gate titles. They've been making Divinity titles. And so they said, we're going to go all in and make the best title we possibly can on Baldur's Gate 3. And then they ended up doing it, right? Persona games on paper are the most niche game ever created. A visual novel dating sim with dungeon crawling. And now the latest entry has sold 7 million units. Dude, think about that. Think about that, right? Visual novel dating sim with dungeon crawling. Do you think that would be like a massive hit? Like if you wrote that down, you're in a boardroom and they're like, we need to create like this big selling title, that's going to sustain the company. It probably would not be what Persona is on paper. But guess what they did? They kept improving Persona's music. They kept improving Persona's visual styles. They kept improving combat. They kept improving everything that they could and make the best game that they possibly could in their niche. And they expanded it and they expanded and they expanded. And eventually we got to Persona 5, massive mainstream success, right? And 3 and 4 were also pretty big, but then 5 like ushered in like a new wave of people like into Persona. It took From Software 13 years to reach Elden Ring and Larian 20 years to reach Baldur's Gate 3. Right. And then it took Atlas around 20 years for them to reach Persona, right? But here's the thing. They also stayed within a type of title in which they were making, right? They didn't like hop around each time being like, maybe we're going to sell 20 million if we do this. Maybe we're going to sell 20 million if we do maybe this one will help us sell 10 million, right? They actually just focused, dude. They locked the fuck in and they kept cooking the thing that they knew how to cook and they kept cooking it better, right? And then they made something world class. Again, this is why I hammer in so much that like Square stuff, like the strategy with Square of being like, we're gonna do this thing now, and we're gonna do that thing now, and then we're gonna do this thing, and we're gonna do that thing, and we're gonna tell people that FF can be whatever it wants to be, so that we can have the license that we need to be to do whatever, you know. I do think that CB1 has been doing that since the FF13 system. I mean, you could even go back further than that and say that they've really just been building on 10.2 system, or really just say that it's been building on the ATB system that's been there since FF4, right? But the problem is that like, you know, I'm glad that CBU1 is on that page, and I think that they're on the right track, right? Because if you look at their evolution and how good that team has actually gotten at making games from like, especially post 10 when they were kind of in a lull, and then like right now to Rebirth, the team has gotten exceptionally good at making games at this point. But yeah, I think they're on the right track, but that's also why I say Rebirth needs to be it. Like this needs to be it. Like we need to look at Final Fantasy VII Re-Trilogy and say this is the game that we're building now. Like this is the style of game that we have. You have a world map, you have airships, you have some form of ATB party members. All this stuff is core to what Final Fantasy is and what how everyone understands what Final Fantasy should be. And it's brand new and it's modern. We've modernized it. We've made it good. We've made it so that it stands next to other games. And each time we're going to make it better and better. And we're going to do more insane shit with it. And then eventually it is going to reach the mainstream. At least in my observations of these series that have made huge leaps from being a little bit more niche or to being kind of mainstream, but not big Elden Ring mainstream, is that they have continued to just broaden the appeal of what their game is, but not sacrifice what their game is to broaden the appeal. Does that make sense, Chad? Because when you start sacrificing what the game is to broaden the appeal, which is what I think that Final Fantasy mainline number titles have been doing, you alienate your veterans fans, but then you may not necessarily get the new fans on there, right? And here's the thing. You can say that Final Fantasy 16 was the best Final Fantasy combat ever made, right? But even if you do, and even if you feel that way, Final Fantasy 17 is going to be an entirely different thing. It's going to be something else. Something else that's like completely random and like the thing that they think is going to make it sell the most number of units again, right? So even if like Final Fantasy 16, you play it and you're like, "Oh my god, this is the best combat ever. They'll never be this good again." It's like, well, that's it. They don't make another game like that. They're not going to. So, I mean, the problem always is that even if they do make a game that brings in a brand new audience, what are they going to bring in? What are they going to fill that new audience with? They're going to bring in that new audience for one game, and then they're going to fall off and not care. So, yeah. I mean, hell, look at KH3 sales versus everything before that. What you're saying applies here. People got gripes with 3, but it's built off of everything Osaka did from Rechain to DDD. Yeah, exactly. And like, you know, even then, you can still say that like it's still roughly Kingdom Hearts gameplay enough to bring in the crowd that loved the old Tokyo team, right? And so Kingdom Hearts 4 is probably going to do even more than that 7 million, right? Because people know what a Kingdom Hearts game looks and plays like and feels like, and they enjoy it, right? And I know a lot of people hear what I'm saying, and then they think like, "Oh, FF should be like in this defined box," is what you're saying. It shouldn't try new things. I'm actually saying the opposite. I'm saying that a lot of the new stuff could shine if they didn't prioritize the idea of like needing to like reinvent the wheel, right? There's a lot of things that you can do to make a car a lot better, but wheels should probably just be wheels, right? The wheel rolls and it's a good wheel, and you don't need to reinvent the wheel. The wheel's already the good part of the car that we know and love how it works. But yeah. Where is Tokyo Team? Tokyo Team has been dissolved into other teams, unfortunately. But the closest thing that you can get to like Tokyo Team now is probably like modern CBU one has like the people that most of the people I believe that used to work for like modern Tokyo Team. And in particular the lead battle designer for Kingdom Hearts 2, he now works on Final Fantasy 7 Remake, which is why that game also has the best combat ever. So and he also worked on Dissidia too. He was like the lead battle planner for that too. Anything he works on is going to be like the best battle system ever. He's legitimately like a fucking beast. Yeah, they're on FF7R and share people with Osaka according to the Ultimania. Okay, good. So that is factual information. Um, where are the teams now? I can't keep up. Well, I mean they shift around a lot. That's like one of the big problem. Yeah, I thought what's left of the Tokyo Team is on FF7R series. Yeah. Some of them are on Kingdom Hearts still, actually. I think nowadays, but I mean, I do admit I have a heart preference for the Tokyo Team Kingdom Hearts games. Like I do. I do. I want to say that Osaka Team is finally going to get it right in Kingdom Hearts 4. I do want to say that, but like fuck, man, like God, like I wanted. It's so weird because it is hard to tangibly describe why something like Kingdom Hearts 2's battle system is like feels so much better to people than like something like Kingdom Hearts 3's. And that's not to say that Kingdom Hearts 3's combat, especially at a higher level on critical and the data fights are bad. They're certainly not. They're really good. But there is a certain feel to like Kingdom Hearts 2 that like just has not been replicated anywhere else. And it just like it is like so insane that Kingdom Hearts 2 is just like this really unique feeling action game. But man, there is something about the way when you hit stuff in Kingdom Hearts 2 that like the enemy like staggers and like the way it chains into another attack and like the way your drive forms work and the way your party members work and the way the game is just generally balanced. Um it's just so fucking good. Osaka got pretty close with Remind. Remind is my hope that Kingdom Hearts 4 will be the best title yet. That's like super optimistic, but like at the very least, I would be very happy if I was to go do like a Kingdom Hearts ranking list and I said Kingdom Hearts 2 Final Mix number 1 and then I said Kingdom Hearts 4 number 2. I would be good. Like that would be that would be like more than enough for me. I'd be like I'm satisfied. It doesn't even have to be better than like Kingdom Hearts 2. It just needs to be like it just needs to be a debate. You know what I'm saying? Like with like base Kingdom Hearts 3, especially like the base game of Kingdom Hearts 3, it's not a debate. It's not a debate. Kingdom Hearts 2 base game is better than Kingdom Hearts 3 base game by like a fucking mile. And I don't even mean like with DLC. I mean like even the base game, like vanilla Kingdom Hearts 2 is better than vanilla Kingdom Hearts 3. So I don't want that to be the case. where it's not even discussion really. Um, I want it to be like, even if Kingdom Hearts 2 is kind of better, like I want it to be like you can make like some real points that like, well, Kingdom Hearts 4 is kind of better. I want to be able to have recency bias with it. If it can like achieve that even, I'm good. So yeah, I don't even think Cage 4 for me it needs to be like yeah, Cage 4 doesn't even need to be like the best Kingdom Hearts ever. It just needs to be like, can we have a discussion where it could be the best Kingdom Hearts game ever? And that'll I'll be happy. Reaction commands are better than situation commands. That's right. Reaction commands are coming back with Kingdom Hearts 4, dude. Reaction commands are so dope. Anyone who is saying that reaction commands are press triangle to win can fuck off. Like, oh my god. Reaction commands were so fucking sick, dude. Each enemy had like this fucking contextual like attack that you could do. And you guys wanted that to go away. Fuck you. That shit was tight as fuck. And y'all were like, actually, it's press triangle to win. Bro, eat my fucking dude. What the fuck? Y'all were man, whoever was saying that shit, please, please sit on a bed of needles, bro. Please. Oh my God, you were so wrong, dude. You were so wrong. I can't tell if it was adults at the time or the fan base that hated it. I don't know. I don't know either. But I just try to figure out like how people could like hate reaction commands when they were so tight. I do get it that people felt like they were like anyone calling it press triangle to win never played the game. They played it, but they played it on like normal or proud. They probably didn't play crit. If you play critical mode, reaction commands especially feel like they're dope. Especially because a lot of the times when you do the reaction command, sometimes you don't want to do the reaction command. Sometimes that will fuck you up if you do the reaction command. I know because I know BBS didn't have a Roxas like intro because reviews hated the Roxas part. Oh my God, that's another thing that's like objectively wrong too, is that the Roxas intro to like Kingdom Hearts 2 is a masterpiece, dude. That was like A plus storytelling. That was like Kingdom Hearts like S plus storytelling. That's like Kingdom Hearts at like its best. What the fuck? See, like a lot of discourse too, like back in like late 2000s, early 10s was like some of the dumbest shit ever too. Like I hate that. I hate that. Journalists were generally a lot more sparky back snarky. Okay, a lot more snarky back then I find. Not all of them were they were all like really snarky. I just think of like Adam Sessler and like X Play and like them being like, It's a JRPG." And then them just shitting on it. Like them getting like really mad that the boys in the game were pretty or something like that. And I'm like, what's wrong with the boys being pretty? Why is that bad? Like, why is that like they would like speak like such negative like stuff about stuff like that? Like, why is that bad? Why is that bad? They couldn't explain it. People calling the Roxy section slow or boring have TikTok attention span. Yeah. Is Kingdom Hearts like FF15 at all? Um, I assume you never played Kingdom Hearts. I would say Kingdom Hearts is a lot better than FF15. Depending, well, actually, every Kingdom Hearts is probably better if I'm honest. Um, like at least in terms of combat. But two in particular, two is probably the greatest action RPG of all time. Legitimate, well, maybe not the greatest action RPG of all time, but it's like a top five. action RPG of all time. Um, and Kingdom Hearts 2 in particular hit such a high bar with how uh how good the combat is that I don't think that like even Kingdom Hearts struggles to Kingdom Hearts struggles to catch up with how good Kingdom Hearts 2 was because it was that good. Um it was just like a groundbreaking action RPG. And it's really funny to me that like again, I don't mean to harp on this, but it's actually really funny to me that Final Fantasy 16 in particular had a lot of the flaws in its combat that it did in terms of like a lack of like RPG elements for the RPG audience. Because I look back and I'm like, man, I'm like Kingdom Hearts was so good at like balancing like, oh, you have all these RPG elements, you have all these abilities, and then this is how it also works as an action game. And it felt at a really good balance between being an action game and being an RPG. And I just can't understand like why Kingdom Hearts wasn't used as more of a reference, especially when Yoshi P had people who worked on Kingdom Hearts working on, certain sections of Final Fantasy 16's combat. So yeah, I just don't know what they were thinking there. KH2 was so good. The Gods Ruins its sequel versus 13, so a game on its level wasn't allowed to come out for almost 20 years. Yeah, that's so sad to me too, because versus 13, especially if you go back and look at like the old trailers and like how that game like played, it was literally going to be like a dark Kingdom Hearts 2, like in terms of like story and like combat, and you're gonna have like other characters too that you can control. And basically, like Versus was probably going to be like the greatest action RPG in history, or at least up to that point. And then, yeah, sadly, didn't happen. But is it an action RPG or an action game? Or an actual RPG or an action game? Do you have party members? Yeah, yeah, party members. You don't control them. You only control one character. But unlike 16, you do have team attacks that you can do, which again is something that really baffled me about 16 is that like you have Jill and Joshua there in the party, but you can't do any team attacks with them. And I really don't understand. Um, Again, that's like something that's so baffling to me is that you can also adjust like what your AR party member does. I just don't understand like why they didn't have like team attacks for Jill and Joshua, like so that they could like do something. You can give commands to party members to do specific moves, yeah. And that's what I liked about it. They do stuff, right? They heal you. They do attacks. They're not useless, although memes may suggest otherwise. FF16 failed by not having Jill hum victory fan. That would have been nice. Jill and Joshua are around to watch Clive's combos live. That's what it feels like, right? Like I don't understand like why you should have been able to like run toward Jill and Joshua and then press a button next to them, and then that would trigger like a team attack, right? Do you guys remember during the trailer it looked like Jill and Jill and Clive were doing a team attack where I think Clive was doing the what's the move where he spins around with Phoenix, and Jill was next to him and she was also doing an attack. So it looked like that they were doing a team attack, and I was like, "Oh, so that's going to be the purpose of party members is that party members are going to be there to let you do a team attack." And then they didn't let you do a team attack. They're literally just there to watch. There's no team attack or anything like that. Yeah. So very unfortunate. Okay. So I think we are going to call this a stream. Thank you guys so much for sitting through my 2025 predictions. I want to wish all of you a happy new year, and we're going to have a ton of content, more streams. Also, really quickly, I'm considering hiring an editor for this year. I don't know who I want to do it because it's a lot to trust somebody with. And also I have to figure out like what payment will be like and all that other stuff. However, um, if you do maybe want to like edit down some streams, or if you're interested in like trying to edit a video for me, just shoot me an email on my business email, and let me know if you've edited any videos before. And yeah, I'll probably have like, a little bit more formal announcement for something like this that I'm looking for. But if anyone wants to get a head start or reach out to me about doing it, um, then just like peep my business email and message me about it. You can also DM me on Twitter, and yeah, we can maybe talk about something. Okay. Love you guys so much. And I will see you all probably next week. What's my business email? It is posted in my Twitter bio and on my Blue Sky bio. And it should also be posted in my YouTube page on the About section.